but if you're selling crate and barrel, that's a whole different experience, totally different experience. I mean, first of all, it's two different industries. It's, you know, household goods, and it's and then it's, I guess, clothing, Vera Long, that part of Vera Long's business. And I think from what you and I talked on the telephone a couple of days ago, and I think that what you're doing, letting your staff have an experience of those two brands, and then I mean, and you've got to be doing something with your managers. I'm sure you are. Those managers really understand that they're representing a particular brand, and then communicating that to the handful of people inside this large call center who handle those telephone calls. I think it's very, very possible to do that. It must sometimes drive you crazy, but it's possible.
Well, that would, though, imply that whoever is handling any given brand really can't transition from brand to brand to brand. They really have to be focused on one, because it'll become a nightmare to start juggling, okay, what brand am I now?
Yes, and Steve does that. He keeps his people associated.
They're dedicated people. They work for a dedicated brand.
You know, I'll tell you where it gets really tricky. We have a whole range of different brand levels. Let's take Starwood. Starwood Properties has all the way down from 4 Points, Sheraton, all the way up to the St. Regis Hotel. And they also have the W, which is a very distinctive hotel brand, and then they've got the Sheraton brands. And so they've got, you know, they go from their low-cost entry all the way to the top. And when people call in the center, the person who answers the telephone knows that somebody called in through, let's say, St. Regis, which is, you know, can cost over $1,000 a night to stay in one of these rooms, to a 4 Points, which could be down to $69, $70, and the person who answers the phone knows where they entered that call chain. You know, how did they get to them, and they have to teach their staff how to respond differently to each of those levels of performance. I think that's much, much more difficult, because in effect each person is representing 5 or 6 very distinct brand promises.
Very challenging. Okay, we've got another question coming in from Anna Marie. Anna Marie, do you want to ask a question?
Yes, yes, Janelle, hi. Okay, how are you?
Doing well.
Janelle, I have a question. You have so much experience, okay, on this whole subject. What actually are you doing differently in the United States to brand tag?
Well, Anna Maria is one of my partners, just to explain to the rest of the group, one of my partners with TAC. I have the additional challenge of we have 2 companies in this in our office. One is TAC, which is primarily about selling, and then we have our TMI side of the business, which is about service and leadership and brand and also performance. So what we've tried to do in the United States is to position ourselves as one company. The tax side of our business handles getting customers. It's about selling to them. And the TMI side of the business handles keeping the customers. This took me quite a long time to come up with that positioning, because there's a little bit of overlap in these 2 companies. And one of the promises that I've made to all of our customers is that it doesn't matter how you enter our business. If you enter on the tax side or you enter on the TMI side, it will be a seamless experience for you. And you can use materials, you can use our content, because we've got a considerable amount of intellectual property in both companies. You can use the content from either company, and what we will do is remain focused on you to get the best experience that you want out of our training and consulting. So that's what we've done. And Anna Marie, we are also now just about ready to launch an e-learning project with TAC, and we will eventually really depend heavily in the United States on e-learning because of the size of the country. You know, it's a 6-hour flight from one side of the United States to the other. And many companies are working to become green, and they get green certified, and one of the ways that they can demonstrate that they are a green company is to show how much of their training is done by e-learning. So there's a growing market for, you know, not having to have people get into airplanes or buses or cars and drive to training experiences, because that puts more of the you know, the carbon into the atmosphere. So I think that there's some opening on this, and that's where we're that's where we're trying to to position this company. We are very sensitive and very aware that branding is critical in the United States, given the huge amount of competition there is in the whole consulting and training business. So,
Okay.
Rather
Any
short
other
answer to a complicated question.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay. I just wonder how you talk about a seamless experience, and you work with two brands, huh?
Yes. Well, because we're one office and we've got all the content in our heads. So it is a seamless experience. And if somebody wants to add, let's say that we've got a sales customer and they want to add something about complaint handling. We've got the whole complaint is a gift philosophy. So if somebody wants to buy a sales training course from us and at the same time they want to put in some elements around complaint handling, on the TMI side of our business, we've got the whole philosophy of a complaint is a gift. And we can just, we can take a module in. So if it's a 2 or 3 day training program, we can introduce 2 or 3 hours just taking that content, just migrating it from TMI over to the tax side. So, so we can do that easily for them. All it requires is that everybody affiliated with us is acquainted with what's in both companies.
Okay.
Thank you, Janelle.
Yes, thank you.
All right, one more time. Everyone's unmuted. And there was a question that came in from Shantanu. Shantanu, you're unmuted. You want to go ahead and ask your question?
Yeah, thank you. We have a strong brand as a custom broker, and custom broker is a traditional occupation, but increasingly cargo moves on door-to-door, and door-to-door logistics has a brand image which is largely global. Door-to-door logistics, whereas old image, as much as is valuable for us, the new activity demands a different image, and as such I can't give up on my old image and I still want something new. Any suggestions? Thank you.
It would take me a little bit of looking at what your marketplace is, but I will say this. In commodity businesses, I hope this is of some help to you, in commodity businesses, very frequently what the company will do to differentiate itself is to grab hold of a specific piece, and this gets done a lot through advertising and promotion. Let's take FedEx as a distributor, as a company that ships materials around the world. FedEx absolutely owns the space of when it absolutely has to be there overnight, and they've done that through advertising. Now, I don't know really that FedEx is any better than, say, UPS or some of the shipping industries, the shipping companies around the globe. I don't know that they're necessarily any better than that. I've never read that they are, but I will say this: whenever anybody thinks absolutely has to be overnight, FedEx probably comes to, I don't know, 80–90% of people's minds around the world, because they've so identified themselves with that position. So if you can find that single thing that your customers really love about you and then get it expressed in a tagline and let that become like the thing that you're known for. Now, you've got everything else that you can do and that you can do well, but you can hook yourself onto a specific tagline that becomes that you become known for, and that can work in commodity businesses. So you have to find what that is all about. I've been working with a commodity business in the diamond industry, and that is Hearts on Fire Diamond.